It was a cold morning in a small town. The wind whispered softly through the trees. The sky was gray, and the sun was hiding behind clouds. In a quiet street stood a school, full of students laughing, running, and chatting before class. Among them was a boy named Ethan. Ethan was 15 years old. He had short brown hair and always wore the same navy blue hoodie. He walked slowly to school, carrying a backpack that looked too heavy for him. His eyes always stared at the ground, and he hardly spoke to anyone. Most people didn't even notice him. Ethan was a quiet student. Too quiet. In the classroom, he sat at the back near the window. He liked to look outside during breaks. He watched the birds fly and the clouds float, wishing he could disappear into the sky. The other students never sat beside him. Sometimes they whispered, "He's strange," or "Why doesn't he talk to anyone?" But they didn't know his story. Ethan had moved to the town a year ago. Before that, he lived in a big city where he had friends, a nice apartment, and a mother who smiled often. But things changed after his father passed away. His mother grew sad, quiet, and distant. One day, she told him they were moving to the town where she had grown up. She hoped things would get better there. But for Ethan, nothing felt better. At school, everything was new. The students had known each other for years. They had inside jokes, weekend plans, and tight friend circles. Ethan didn't know how to fit in. He tried to smile, to say hello, but his voice was soft and his words felt weak. No one really listened. Soon he stopped trying. His loneliness grew quietly, like a shadow that followed him everywhere. Lunchtime was the hardest. While others shared sandwiches and laughed in groups, Ethan sat alone in the library, pretending to read. He didn't mind the silence. He was used to it. But deep inside, he wished someone would sit beside him and ask, "Hey, want to eat together?" That question never came. One afternoon, during art class, the teacher asked everyone to draw something that showed how they felt inside. Ethan picked up a pencil and drew a small boy sitting in the middle of a giant field. Around him were tall, silent trees, and above him, a sky full of stars. But the boy was alone. When the teacher saw his drawing, she paused. She didn't say much, just, "Interesting work, Ethan." But her eyes stayed on the picture longer than usual. The next day, the teacher gave the class a group project. Everyone had to work in teams of 3. Ethan felt panic rise in his chest. He hated group work. No one ever picked him. As expected, the other students quickly formed teams with their friends, laughing and planning out their ideas. In the end, Ethan was left standing alone. "Looks like you'll work with Mia and Josh," the teacher said, pointing to a girl and boy who hadn't decided yet. Mia rolled her eyes. Josh shrugged. "Whatever," he said. The next few days were quiet. Mia and Josh did most of the talking. Ethan just nodded and followed instructions. But when it came to presenting the project, something surprising happened. Josh got nervous and forgot his lines. Mia stumbled through hers. Then it was Ethan's turn. He took a deep breath and spoke softly but clearly. His words flowed with emotion and detail. For the first time, the class really listened. After the presentation, Mia looked at him with surprise. "You're actually good at this," she said. Ethan gave a small smile. "Thanks." That small moment changed something. The next day, Mia said hello to him in the hallway. Josh gave him a nod. And later that week, during lunch, Mia waved him over to sit with her and some friends. Ethan hesitated at first, but then he walked over. It felt strange, sitting at a table with others. He didn't talk much, but he listened. And slowly, people began to notice him. Not as the quiet, strange kid, but as someone thoughtful and kind. Still, Ethan's loneliness didn't disappear overnight. He still missed his father. He still worried about his mother, who stayed quiet at home and rarely smiled. But something had changed inside him. He had taken a small step. And sometimes, that's all it takes. One evening, Ethan sat on the porch, looking at the stars. His mother came and sat beside him. For a moment, they just sat in silence. Then she said, "You seem a little happier these days." Ethan nodded. "A little. I talked to some kids at school." "That's good," she said, and for the first time in a long while, she smiled. They didn't say much more. But in that quiet moment, surrounded by stars and a soft wind, Ethan felt a little less alone. Days turned into weeks. Ethan joined the art club. He started helping in the school library. He didn't become the most popular kid, but he made a few friends. Real friends. And slowly, the loneliness that once covered him like a thick blanket began to lift. Ethan still liked to sit by the window. He still watched the clouds and birds. But now, sometimes someone would tap his shoulder and say, "Hey, want to walk with us?" Or, "Did you see that funny thing in class?" And every time, Ethan smiled, because he had learned something important. Even when you feel invisible, even when no one sees your pain, you are not truly alone. Somewhere, someone is waiting to understand you. And sometimes, all it takes is one small moment, one kind word, one open heart to begin again.